So in the last lesson, we figured out how we can use a scene action to animate the rolling when it first gets put onto the plane. Now, I want to be able to roll all of the dice on the scene all at once. So to do that, I need to make an array that stores all of the dice that I generate. So firstly, at the top of the file, I'm going to create a new array called dice array. Sounds familiar if you made dicey before. But in this case, dice array is going to be an array that holds scene node objects. And I'm going to initialize it as an empty array. And then every single time that we create a dice node, I'm going to append it to that array. So just before we put it onto the scene, I'm going to say dice array dot append, and the element that I'm going to append is dice node. So then we're going to have an array of all of our dice nodes, and we'll be able to loop through that array and spin all of them all at once. So I'm going to create a method called roll all, and it's not going to take any parameters. Now I'm going to say if dice array dot is empty is false, then I'm going to say for every dice inside dice array, let's loop through that array and then call a function called roll that takes a single SCN node as a parameter. So we're going to pass in that dice that we want to roll. So Xcode is going to complain because we don't yet have this function called roll. So let's go ahead and create it. And the parameter name is going to be dice, and the type of the object that it's going to accept is a scene node. And all we're going to do is transplant that bit of code that we created up here. We're going to cut it and put it inside here. So we're going to be refactoring our code a little bit later on, but this is required so that we can actually call this functionality from multiple places. One from roll all, but also once we've added a new dice node to the scene. So we're going to call roll here, and the dice is going to be this newly created dice node here. So that works, but this is giving us an error because, of course, once we put it into this method, dice node no longer exists, and instead the dice that we're going to be animating is this parameter that gets passed in. So I'll just change that to dice. So now I'm going to go into the main storyboard and create a button that's going to trigger that roll all method. So I'm going to embed our view controller inside a navigation controller. And once you've done that, I'm going to add a bar button item to this nav bar. Now I'm going to link up this button to an IB action that I'm going to call roll again. So control drag down here, change that outlet to an action, and I'm going to call it roll again. Change the type to UI bar button item, hit connect. And I also actually want to change this image because we can get a free one from Apple. And I'm going to change it to the system item that represents refresh. And this, as you can see, works as a re-roll button, right? And inside this IB action, I'm simply going to call roll all. Now, you might be wondering why I didn't simply just put this functionality of roll all inside the IB action. Because another thing I wanted to do is I want to be able to shake the app and have the dice implement that roll all functionality. And also it's just better practice to be able to separate each of these discrete bits of functionality out into different methods. So let's now add our good old motion ended, same as we did in the original dicey. And inside here, I'm just simply going to call roll all to roll all the dice that's currently on screen. So now when we tap the roll again button, it should roll all of our dice. And also when I shake the phone, it's going to roll all the dice as well. So let's give it a go. All right, so that was pretty neat, right? Well, the last bit of functionality I want to add to this app is to be able to clear the board and delete all the dice that's already on screen so that we can throw down fresh dice and change the number of dice that we have on screen. So I'm going to show you how to do that in the next lesson. So see you there.